My name is Shen Qinghe, daughter of the richest man in Jiangnian. 26 years ago, I married down to a poor boy named Du Linchuan. I raised his children for him, managed his household for him, and used my vast dowry to pave a path to success for him, helping him become the great general of Zhenbei. I thought we were a deeply devoted couple, until my 48th birthday, when I traveled thousands of miles to the frontier, wanting to give him a surprise. The surprise turned into a shock. He had children and grandchildren all around, a happy family enjoying themselves together. Yet my own son and daughter tugged at my sleeves, trying to persuade me, "Mother, father has worked hard out here, don't make a scene." At that moment, my heart completely died. I didn't make a scene. I calmly turned around and went back to the capital. Then, I took back my dowry and settled all my accounts. When the Gu family collapsed overnight, when he was stripped of his position and power, when my children knelt before me, crying and begging me to reconsider, I just smiled faintly. Sorry, too late. My carriage swayed and rocked for an entire month. From the misty rains of Jiangnan to the yellow sands of Zhenbei, today is my 48th birthday. It has also been 3 years since I parted from my husband Gu Linchuan. I want to give him a surprise. My son Gu Mingjie and daughter Gu Mingju had already arrived before me, saying they wanted to celebrate for their father on my behalf. How wonderful filial children, and a husband achieving great things away from home. I lifted the carriage curtain, gazing at the simple yet imposing general's manor, not far away, my heart filled with anticipation. 26 years, I had gone from a naive young girl to the reclusive general's wife I am now. I had guarded this empty residence in the capital, guarded the glory of his Gu family, and guarded my 2 children. I thought my waiting was worth it. The coachman helped me down from the carriage. The 2 guards at the gate froze for a moment, clearly not recognizing me. "I am Shen Qinghe," I spoke calmly. The guards' faces changed drastically, and they hurriedly knelt down. Madam," I waved my hand, telling them not to announce me, and walked straight inside. I wanted to see with my own eyes the look of joyful surprise on Gu Linchuan's face when he saw me. In the courtyard, the wind was strong, stirring up dust and sand, making it hard for me to keep my eyes open. But I still saw clearly the scene within the courtyard. In an instant, I felt as if struck by lightning, and all the blood in my body seemed to freeze. Around the stone table in the center of the courtyard sat a large family. My husband, the great general of the northern garrison, Gu Linchuan, was seated in the main position. He had aged somewhat, with frost at his temples, but the heroic spirit in his brows and eyes remained undiminished. Beside him sat a gentle-faced woman who looked to be only in her early 30s. That woman was smiling sweetly as she picked up food for him, her movements practiced, her manner intimate. On Gu Linchuan's face was a heartfelt, relaxed smile I had never seen in the capital. Around the table sat 6 children. The oldest looked about 12 or 13, while the youngest was held in Gu Linchuan's arms, babbling and calling out unclearly. "Daddy," that single word, "Daddy," struck my heart like a red-hot iron hammer. Over there, my biological son, Gu Mingjie, dressed in the blue official robes of the Hanlin Academy, looked completely out of place. My daughter Gu Mingju, wearing luxurious clothes, also stood awkwardly to the side. When they saw me, the color drained from their faces instantly. The harmonious scene in the courtyard was like the cruelest satirical painting. I heard the sound of my own heart breaking. No, it wasn't just breaking. It had turned directly to dust, blown away completely by the cold northern wind. 26 years. 26 years of misplaced devotion. 26 years of living widowhood. So it turns out, it was just a one-woman show all along. He had a home here, a wife, and 6 children. And what was I? The woman noticed me, and the smile on her face froze. Gu Linchuan followed her gaze and looked over. The moment he saw me, the smile on his face also froze, replaced by utter shock and a hint of panic. Qinghe, why are you here?" He instinctively put down the child in his arms. My son Gu Mingjie and daughter Gu Mingju quickly ran towards me. They weren't coming to comfort me. They were coming to shut me up. "Mother, why are you here?" Gu Mingjie's face was full of anxiety. He lowered his voice. "Whatever you want to say, let's talk about it when we get home." Gu Mingju even directly grabbed my sleeve, her eyes reddening. "Mother, please don't make a scene. So many people are watching today. Father has it hard at the frontier. This opening is devastating." After 26 years of faithful devotion, she discovers not just infidelity, but a whole second family, and her own children side with their cheating father. The way she processes this betrayal is ice-cold perfection. I said nothing, didn't cry, didn't curse, didn't even show a trace of expression. That silent exit, that is the sound of a woman's heart turning to steel. Don't make a scene. Has it hard. My own daughter, telling me not to make a scene. She said her father has it hard. What about me? My 26 years of youth, my 26 years of toil. Was that easy? Looking at this face before me that bore 7 parts resemblance to mine, I only felt utterly unfamiliar. The child I carried for 10 months and gave birth to, the child I painstakingly raised, now stood on the side of the husband who betrayed me. My heart completely died. The last trace of warmth also extinguished. I calmly looked at them, looked at the flustered Gulin Chuan, looked at the bewildered Mistress Lady Liu, looked at that group of unfamiliar children, then looked at these 2 before me, whom I once thought were my pride, now, like 2 sharp knives stabbing into my heart. I said nothing, didn't cry, didn't curse, didn't even show a trace of expression. I just slowly withdrew the sleeve that Gu Mingju was clutching. Then, I turned around, returned to the capital. I calmly uttered 2 words to the coachman behind me, who had long been scared stiff. I returned to the general's manor in the capital. This residence, where I had lived for 26 years, made me feel bone-chilling cold for the first time. Gilded and magnificent, splendid and luxurious. But all of this seemed like one big joke. Gu Mingja and Gu Mingzhou followed right after me. They thought I was just throwing a tantrum. Mother, please don't be angry. Father has his reasons. Gu Mingju tried to take my hand. I avoided it. That is right, Mother. That Madame Liu is just a mistress. Nothing presentable. You are the only legitimate wife of the general's manor. Gu Mingja chimed in from the side. Watching them sing the same tune, I only found it laughable. Reasons. I finally spoke, my voice terribly hoarse. His reasons were to set up another family outside, with children and grandchildren aplenty, while I was managing the household and raising the children for him. My hardships, who knows about them? The siblings were rendered speechless by my questions, their faces alternating between pale and flushed. I couldn't be bothered to look at them anymore. Summon come. The butler hurried in. Madam, summon all the head stewards and accountants in the manor to the main hall for a meeting. My voice wasn't loud, but it carried an unquestionable authority. An hour later, the main hall of the general's manor was brightly lit. I sat upright in the seat of honor. I had the servants bring out a dust-covered rosewood chest from the deepest part of the storeroom. Open it. Inside was the inventory of my dowry from back then. 1 book. Then another, over 100 pages in total, recording every single asset I brought from the Shen family to the Gui family. Farmland, shops, gold and silver, antiques, calligraphy, and paintings. Gu Mingja and Gu Mingju watched with doubt and suspicion. They had never seen any of this before. I threw the topmost book onto the ground in front of them. Open your eyes wide and look carefully. What is written here are the deeds to 120 prosperous shops in the capital, plus 8 estates in the outskirts, with 10,000 acres of fertile land. I threw down another book. This one contains the general ledgers of 13 silk shops and 7 tea houses in the south, and the trade routes to the western regions. My Shen family holds 30% of the shares. With every sentence I spoke, Gu Mingja and Gu Mingju's faces grew paler. The manor's head steward and accountants were so frightened, they didn't even dare to breathe. For 26 years, I used this dowry as capital, growing business from business, compounding the profits. The current holdings have long since multiplied more than tenfold. All these years, Gu Linchuan's military supplies. Gu Mingja is career bribes, Gu Mingju's extravagant expenses, even the daily costs of running this general's manor. Which of these wasn't supported by my dowry assets? He, Gu Linchuan, was nothing but a penniless nobody back then. It was me, Shen Qinghe. It was my Shen family that gave him everything he has today, and this is how he repays me. My heart has gone numb, no pain, only cold. I picked up the final ledger, calmly looked at everyone, and announced word by word, from this day forward, I, Shen Qinghe, am divorcing Gu Linchuan. Everything that belongs to my Shen family, I will take back piece by piece down to the last coin. Not a single thing will be left behind. As my words fell, the room went dead silent. Gu Mingja and Gu Mingju's faces finally showed terror. Only now did they realize that this general's manor they were so proud of, this magnificent backing of theirs, actually belonged to the Shens, not the Gus. The next day before dawn, the Shen family's convoy filled the entire street in front of the general's manor. My people began methodically settling the family assets, that painting of bamboo and rock, by the great master Zheng Banqiao from the previous dynasty in the main hall. Taken down, boxed up, taken away. That pair of glazed cups tributed from the western regions in the storeroom. Packed up, taken away. Those prized peonies transplanted from Zhongnian in the garden. Dug up roots and all, taken away. This is what empowerment looks like. She doesn't just leave. She systematically dismantles everything he built on her foundation. The detail of digging up the peonies, roots and all, chef's kiss. She is not leaving him with even a memory of what he had. In 3 days, she reduces the great general to nothing. The man went from commanding armies to living in an empty shell, and it is the most satisfying comeuppance in literary history. The entire general's manor, like a giant with its innards hollowed out, quickly became empty. Gu Mingzhe rushed in, eyes red. "Mother, you can't do this. This is our Gu family's dignity. If you take everything away, how will our Gui family stand in the capital?" I looked at him coldly. The Gui family's reputation. That reputation was built with my Shen family's money. Now, I don't want to give any more. Gu Mingzhu also knelt before me, crying, "Mother, please, I am begging you, don't do this. My marriage with the prince's manor is about to be settled. If you do this, the prince's manor will call off the engagement." I laughed, until tears almost came out. Even at this point, what they worried about was still only their own futures and marriages. Not a single one of them asked me, "Mother, does it hurt?" Back then, at the general of the Northern Frontiers manor, when you told me not to make a scene, why didn't you think about my dignity? When I was deceived like a fool by that good father of yours, for 26 years, where were your filial piety and family love? My voice grew colder with each sentence. They were speechless. I stood up and walked in front of them. "From today on, you two have nothing to do with me anymore. All the estates, shops, and farmland under your names will also be taken back. If you want to live a life of luxury, go ask that good father of yours for it." I turned around, no longer looking at their desperate faces. 3 days, only 3 days. The Grand General's manor was nearly emptied out. Only some basic tables and chairs remained. The vermilion pillars, without the golden Nanmu hanging screens, looked bare. The ornate walls were stripped of famous paintings and calligraphy, revealing mottled marks beneath. I led my massive convoy, in grand procession, and moved into Shen Garden across the street. It was a garden I built for myself, with my own money, more luxurious and more magnificent than the general's manor. The first thing I did after moving into Shen Garden, I summoned the head steward of the Southern Trading Company, passed down my orders. From this day forward, cut off all secret financial support to the Northern Garrison Army. Not a single tael of silver, not a single grain of rice, is to be sent there anymore. The steward received his orders and left. Gu Linchuan. Without the financial power of my Shen family, I'd like to see how you, the great general of the Northern Garrison, can carry on. This show has only just begun. Gu Linchuan's letter arrived post-haste from the Northern Garrison. In the letter, he cursed me viciously. He berated me for being unreasonable, pathologically jealous, and lacking the bigger picture. He said Lady Liu was merely his comfort during lonely times. He said those children were just accidents. He said I would forever be the only mistress of the general's manor. He ordered me to immediately stop this foolish behavior, return everything, and not make him a laughingstock to the whole world. Laughable. Truly laughable. Even now, he is still ordering me around, still blaming me. I didn't even finish reading the letter before, tossing it straight into the brazier beside me. The dancing flames devoured those lines of hypocritical words, leaving nothing behind, just like my laughable marriage. I began hosting various salons and banquets at Shen Garden. The princes, nobles, and distinguished ladies of the capital all became my honored guests, relying on the Shen family's wealth that rivaled nations, and my talent and insight that had been famous throughout the capital since my days in the boudoir. Very soon, I became the undisputed central figure in the capital's circle of noble ladies. On this day, the entrance of Shen Garden caused an even bigger sensation throughout the entire capital. The current regent prince, Xiao Yunyi, that man who held power over the court, whom even the emperor had to show respect to, actually came in person to deliver a housewarming gift to me. A pair of entirely blood-red coral trees, priceless, Boss Shen. After so many years, you are as graceful as ever. Xiao Yunyi stood before me, appearing more profound than in his youth, those deep eyes carrying emotions I couldn't understand. He still remembered. When he was young, he called me Qinghe. Now, he calls me Boss Shen. I smiled. Your Highness flatters me. The news of me chatting and laughing with the regent prince in the garden spread throughout every street and alley of the capital, as if it had grown wings. Everyone knew I, Shen Qinghe, was no longer that woman dependent on the general's manor. I now had a more powerful backer than Gu Linchuan. Meanwhile, Gu Linchuan, far away in Zhenbei, knew nothing of all this. His letters were like stones sinking into the sea, but he soon discovered an even more serious problem. His army's provisions had been cut off. The military funds that had been secretly delivered by the mysterious merchant every month were also cut off. The provisions allocated by the court were far from enough to support his 100,000 troops. For the first time, he felt panic. Only then did he belatedly realize, all these years, he had been able to peacefully serve as the god of war at the border. It wasn't because he was invincible in battle, it was because there was a woman in the capital using her vast fortune to hold up the sky for him. Now, the sky had collapsed. I drove Gu Mingzhe and Gu Mingju out of the general's manor. Their so-called home was now just an empty shell. Without my financial support, they fell from the clouds into the mud overnight. Gu Mingzhe began to be ostracized everywhere. In the Hanlin Academy, colleagues who once fawned over him now mocked and ridiculed him. Oh my, isn't this grand scholar Guy? I heard your household is tight on money lately, can't even afford ink and brushes. Without the Shen family's money, the general's manor is nothing special after all. He was proud and arrogant. How could he endure such humiliation? He got into arguments several times and was reprimanded by his superiors. Gu Mingju's days were even harder. The Prince Cheng's manor, which had made a verbal marriage agreement with her, sent someone over. It wasn't a matchmaker who came, but the manor's head nanny. The nanny sat in the empty living room with an arrogant attitude. Miss Gu, our Wangfei has said that your family now has fallen on hard times and is truly no longer a match for our Wang manor. This marriage arrangement shall be called off. Gu Mingju collapsed to the ground on the spot, her face drained of all color. News of the broken engagement quickly spread throughout the capital. She became the laughingstock among all the noble ladies and socialites. The two siblings finally tasted what it meant for the world to be cold and fickle, for human affections to run hot and cold. They finally understood. Everything they possessed, glory, status, wealth, all came from one person, not their father. It was their mother, the one they had urged to stop making a fuss. On this day, two people knelt at the entrance of Shen Garden. It was none other than Gu Mingzhe and Gu Mingju. They knelt ramrod straight in the cold wind of early winter, their faces turning purple from the cold. Mother, we were wrong. Please forgive us. We know we were wrong, they cried and shouted, attracting countless passers-by to watch. I sat in the warm pavilion within the garden, watching this scene coldly through the window. My heart felt not a single ripple. If they knew it would come to this, why did they act that way in the first place? I didn't see them. I only had someone pass along a message. I Shen Qinghe no longer have any children in this life. Tell them to leave. If they kneel again, break their legs. The regret and disgrace of the brother and sister became the newest laughingstock in the capital that winter. They finally understood. Some mistakes, once made, leave no chance to turn back. The news of the Northern Garrison Army supply shortage could no longer be concealed. Complaints filled the ranks, and small-scale mutinies even broke out. Memorials from the censorate flew toward the dragon throne, like snowflakes. Regent Prince Xiao Yunyi seized the opportunity to attack in court. Grand General of the Northern Garrison Gu Linchuan has failed to maintain military discipline, causing unrest among the troops. His crime deserves death. The emperor was overwhelmed, and finally issued an imperial edict, summoning Gu Linchuan back, ordering his immediate return to the capital. Suspended from duty pending investigation, Gu Linchuan practically scrambled his way back from the northern garrison. He was travel-worn and utterly disheveled. He didn't return to the empty shell of the Wuxia residence, but rushed straight to the gates of Shen Garden. He thought that with their 26 years of marriage, as long as he came back, as long as he bowed his head and admitted his mistakes, I would surely soften. He was too naive. I want to see your madam. He roared at the guards at the gate. The guards blocked him, their attitude respectful yet distant. General Guy Yu, our master, is receiving guests and has ordered that no one be seen. Please return. General, receiving guests. What guests? Gu Linchuan flew into a rage. Tell her to come out and see me. He tried to force his way in. Several guards immediately stopped him. He struggled, and through the half-closed door he saw the scene inside the garden. Pavilions and towers, brightly lit. In a warm pavilion not far away, two figures were playing chess by the window. One of them was me. The other was none other than the current regent, Xiao Yunyi. I was holding a white piece, tilting my head slightly, smiling and saying something to Xiao Yunyi. Xiao Yunyi was also looking at me, his gaze gentle, with a focus I had never seen before. That scene, a talented man and a beautiful woman, peaceful and serene. Yet it was like the most venomous thorn, stabbing fiercely into Gu Linchuan's eyes. Jealousy, maddening jealousy instantly consumed him. That position should have been his. That woman should have been his wife. Everything of his had been taken by another man. He was like a wounded beast, letting out an unwilling roar, but that sound, amidst the laughter and joy of Shen Garden, seemed so insignificant. He finally understood. I wasn't throwing a tantrum. I truly didn't want him anymore. Gu Linchuan was scolded harshly by the emperor in court. In the end, he was only temporarily suspended from his position, his life spared. This was still on account of his past military achievements. He finally let go of his pitiful pride. That day, the first rain since the start of winter began to fall. The icy rainwater, mixed with sleet, hit people's faces like knife cuts. Gu Linchuan was kneeling outside the main gate of Shen Garden. He had removed his official robes, wearing only a thin layer of clothing, letting the cold rain soak him through. He wanted to use this self-inflicted suffering to win my sympathy. He knelt for an entire afternoon, from day to night. I finally agreed to see him. In the side hall of Shen Garden, the fire was burning brightly. I wore a warm fox fur coat, leisurely sipping hot tea. He was brought in by the servants, soaked through, his lips purple from the cold, looking as pathetic as a dog. The moment he came in, he knelt before me. Qinghe, I was wrong. His voice was hoarse beyond recognition. At the frontier, I was too lonely. I was confused for a moment, and made a mistake. Lady Liu and those children, I'll send them all away, not leaving a single one. Please, for the sake of our 26 years as husband and wife, forgive me this once. He wept bitterly, his forehead hitting the cold floor with loud thuds. I listened quietly. My face showed no expression at all, lonely, confused. When he was lonely, did he ever think that I, in the capital, had also lived like a widow for 26 years? I set down the teacup with a soft clink. General Gi, this form of address made his whole body tremble. You were wrong. I looked at him calmly. Your biggest mistake wasn't keeping a mistress outside and having children. It is that you never truly knew me. You enjoyed everything I brought you, yet treated me like an object without thoughts or temper. You thought I would wait for you in the same place forever. I stood up, looking down at him from above. Gu Linchuan, it is over between us. I've already written the divorce papers. Tomorrow, I will ask His Highness, the Regent, to present them to His Majesty on my behalf. Gu Linchuan suddenly raised his head, his eyes full of horror and despair. The Regent. He finally realized that I had found a backer countless times more powerful than him. I was no longer a woman he could manipulate at will. He felt as if he had fallen into an icy abyss, his whole body trembling even more violently. An even more chaotic situation soon arrived. That Mistress Lu Ruyan brought her 6 children and traveled grandly from Zhenbei to the capital. She thought Gu Linchuan had summoned her to make her his official wife, to become the real general's madam, with endless longing for a beautiful future life. She knocked on the gates of the general's manor. Then she was dumbfounded. What greeted her wasn't a crowd of servants and a luxurious life, but an emptied, cold, and desolate mansion, and a frazzled Gu Linchuan, reeking of alcohol. General, what is going on? Li Ruyan's voice was trembling. Gu Linchuan saw her, and only felt irritated and restless. What are you doing here? He roared. And his good son Gu Mingjia and good daughter Gu Mingju were even more hostile toward this, mother and sons, who had suddenly appeared. Who are you? Who let you in? Gu Mingju pointed at Li Ruyan and shrieked. The oldest son that Li Ruyan brought along wasn't about to back down either, cursing back. Who are you? This is my father's home. A big fight was about to break out. The 2 groups of children fought every day over the few remaining good rooms in the mansion and the scarce food. Li Ruyan grew up in a small border town, was crude and vulgar, and her words and actions all carried a petty air. She could barely get by in the capital. She quickly became the laughingstock of the noble ladies' circle. Every day when Gu Linchuan came home, he faced this chaotic mess. On one side, there was Lady Liu's constant crying and whining. On the other side, there was the bickering and noise of 8 children. He was tormented to the point of exhaustion. On the verge of collapse, he began to reminisce, desperately reminiscing about Shen Qinghe, who kept the household in perfect order. Always quiet and gentle, but that Shen Qinghe had already been lost by his own hands. The real crematorium had only just begun. Gu Linchuan's official position was ultimately stripped away completely. From the great general of the northern garrison, he became an idle general with no real power. He had completely become a joke. He tried to make a comeback, pulling strings and finding connections, But now in the capital, who doesn't know that I, Shen Qinghe, have a close relationship with the regent? Who would still dare to help him? After hitting walls everywhere, he completely despaired. He started drinking heavily, getting dead drunk every day. He would often run to the wall outside Shen Garden late at night, loudly calling my name, Qinghe, Qinghe, I was wrong, come back. His voice, in the silent night, was like a ghost, shrill and desperate. I turned a deaf ear. He even started having hallucinations. He would suddenly talk to thin air. Qinghe, look, is this hairpin pretty? I'll buy it for you. Qinghe, today is our wedding day. I'll take you to see the lanterns. He had gone mad. His insane behavior made Lu Ruyan and those children feel terrified. It also made Gu Mingzhe and Gu Mingju completely despair. Their father, the only pillar of this family, had fallen. Their sky had also collapsed. The final retribution fell upon Gu Mingzhe and Gu Mingju. Because of his father's scandal, Gu Mingzhe was impeached by the censors for improper family conduct and lacking virtue, stripped of his official position, and expelled from the Hanlin Academy. Over a decade of his hard studying, gone in an instant. Gu Mingju's fate was even worse. To make ends meet, Gu Linchuan married her off as a second wife to a salt transport commissioner who was over 50. That salt transport commissioner already had 7 or 8 children at home. The siblings completely broke down. For the last time they came to find me. This time, they didn't kneel outside the gate. I had the servants let them in. In the side hall, they knelt before me, crying their hearts out. Mother, we truly know we were wrong. We don't ask you to forgive, Father. We only beg you to acknowledge us again. We are your own flesh and blood. They wept about their miserable experiences, repenting for their past unfilial behavior. I listened quietly. In my heart, not a ripple. Blood ties. The moment they chose to side with the man who betrayed me, the blood ties between us were severed. I had the butler bring a money box. Here is 10,000 taels in banknotes. I pushed the money box in front of them, my voice cold. For the sake of you calling me mother for over 20 years, this is the last sum of money I am giving you. From now on, we go our separate ways, owing each other nothing. This cold, indifferent charity was the last straw that completely crushed their psychological defenses. They understood that I truly didn't want them anymore. Gu Mingju fainted on the spot. Gu Mingzhe clutched the money box, laughing foolishly like an idiot, and as he laughed, he burst into loud sobs. This scene reached Gu Linchuan's ears. After hearing it, he felt no anger, no sorrow. He just sat there blankly, muttering the same phrase over and over. All debts settled, all debts settled. He finally understood what it meant to never forgive. Liu Ruyan couldn't bear this bitter life after all. She stole the last 10,000 taels of silver notes that Gu Linchuan had hidden under the bed, wanting to take her 6 children and flee back to the frontier. But she was just a woman, carrying a fortune and a group of children, before she could even leave the capital's borders. She was swindled of all her money at a shady inn. She and her children were thrown out, left to wander the streets. What became of them, no one knows. Some said they saw her begging with her children. Others said she entered the lowest brothel just to survive. When Gu Linchuan learned of this, he felt neither grief nor anger. He just sat in the empty courtyard, laughing foolishly. As he laughed, tears began to flow. He had completely lost his mind. He found that old suit of armor, long covered in dust, and put it on. Every day he wandered through the streets and alleys of the capital. In his mouth, he forever muttered those same few phrases. Qinghe, I was wrong. Qinghe, the wind is strong today. Put on an extra layer. Qinghe, my military pay has arrived. The once imposing great general of the northern garrison had now become a madman everyone in the capital avoided. He became the biggest laughingstock in the history books. Everyone knew that, for the sake of a mistress, he had lost a wife whose wealth rivaled nations. Serves him right. Karma. The Lantern Festival, 1 year later, the capital was brilliantly lit, bright as daylight. I walked alongside the regent Prince Xiao Yunyi by the moat, admiring the lotus lanterns floating across the river. He draped a gold-threaded cloak over my shoulders, shielding me from the night's cold wind. Cold? He asked softly. I shook my head. In my heart, there was an unprecedented warmth and peace. Just then, from a street corner not far away, came a commotion. A madman in tattered armor was being dragged with great effort by a young man. It was Gu Linchuan and Gu Mingzhe. Qinghe, Qinghe, look, lanterns. I'll buy you lanterns. Gu Linchuan pointed at the fireworks in the sky, shouting like a lunatic. My gaze merely swept over them indifferently, as if looking at 2 strangers who had nothing to do with me. In my eyes, not a single ripple remained. Xiao Yunyi noticed my gaze and gently held my hand. His palm was broad and warm. I turned back and smiled at him. Brilliant fireworks bloomed one after another behind me. She didn't just survive, she thrived. She became the most influential woman in the capital, found genuine companionship, and achieved the peace she deserved. That final image of her smiling at the fireworks, while her ex-husband babbles in the background. That is not cruelty, that is closure. She is not even angry anymore. He is simply irrelevant. I showed the most relieved and happiest smile in my 26 years of life. My life had already turned to a new chapter. As for those people from the past, those things from the past, they no longer had anything to do with me. This story is a masterclass in reclaiming your power. So tell me, which moment hit you hardest? Was it the children's betrayal, the ledger scene, or that ice-cold final dismissal? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss another tale of triumph. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It is living so well that your past becomes irrelevant.